absolutely number one issue for the club is to get recruitment right.
Let's be totally honest, Manchester United's transfer strategy has been an abomination for like a decade. Something has to change, and change is happening this summer. It seems a bit extreme to go from 100 scouts down to 10. What about the new person we brought in from a data perspective? What about Chris Vavell? What is this new transfer strategy and approach? I'm going to tell you everything you need to know in this video, and why it might be actually the best thing to happen to United in years when it comes to transfers. Let's talk numbers. The last 5 years have been criminal. Anthony, 85 million, worth about 25. Sancho, 73 mil, constant drama. Worst signing we've made post-Fergie. Højlund, 72 million, and that's 230 million on just 3 players. Meanwhile, around this period, Brighton bought Caicedo for 4.5 mil and sold him for 115 mil. They picked up Alexis McAllister for 7.8 and sold him for 35. Dean Howson signed for Bournemouth for 12.8 mil and moved for 50 mil a year later. The problem is clear. While other clubs identify value in developing players, United were panic buying at inflated prices with no coherent strategy and ultimately no return on investment. The issue at United hasn't necessarily been scouting, but much rather a lack of communication within the hierarchy and lack of capable senior figures. Director of Scouting Steve Brown, the most prominent departure this summer, spent years building Project Bethlehem and Trackerman, a massive database of talent that the club basically ignored. While the system was extensive and identified talented players, the scouting department was bloated. Scouting recommendations were not acted on decisively and communication was limited. Prominent examples of players that were scouted and recommended to senior figures but not signed include Moises Caicedo, Erling Haaland, Carlos Baleba. These missed opportunities highlight exactly why the system needed overhauling. This wasn't just bad signings. The entire system was broken. Multiple attempts to try and fix it. Murto, Ragnick's consultancy. They all failed because they never addressed the real problem. Commercial success came first and football came second. When you look at the attempts to fix everything under the Glazers, it was just awful. John Murto had no real experience in elite recruitment, promoted internally from the academy but didn't know what he was doing. Ragnick, the interim manager specifically hired for his expertise in building football structures, then completely ignored his recommendations and let him walk away. And it fostered a toxic environment where different departments worked in silos. Scouts would recommend players, but commercial teams would prioritise marketable names. Managers would sign off on targets with no real thought of long-term squad building. There was no unified vision. Each new manager basically started from scratch, often signing players that directly contradicted the previous manager's philosophy. The scouts became demoralised because their recommendations were constantly overruled by commercial considerations or managerial whims. Previous restructuring attempts failed because they were surface-level changes that didn't address the fundamental power dynamics and decision-making processes. Now, when it comes to changing that, the leadership team of United is in charge. Omar Barada at the top. And Chris Vavell, our first ever director of recruitment, Jason Wilcox, who is known to have a keen eye for talent. These are the men now tasked with making the changes. And a big part of all of this is the use of data. And this is where I think it gets a bit interesting. United headhunted him for a reason. Red Bull development expertise. He speaks multiple languages, understands different football cultures, builds sustainable systems and not just individual signings. Diego Leon and Sekou Kone represent the first attempts at trying to unearth some gems. United specifically targeted Vavell because he represents everything they've been missing. He's worked in both the Red Bull system, he's comfortable working with modern data analytics but never loses sight of the human element, he speaks multiple languages, understands different football cultures and has connections across European academies. Crucially, Vavell has experience building recruitment networks from scratch. He's not just identifying individual players, he's creating a sustainable system that should benefit United for years. Diego Leon and Sekou Kone weren't just random punts. They were identified through Vavell's systematic approach. Now, academy recruitment has been excellent under Luke Fedorenko, who heads that department. However, the scouting approach for the first team is set to change drastically. Clubs simply don't need as many scouts in this day and age due to how data-driven scouting has become. And United are following that trend. We are massively reducing the amount of scouts we employ, down from 100 to, I don't know, maybe 10? I don't know exactly, but it's a shift in focus towards data rather than pure old-school scouting numbers. Now, is this just a cost-cutting measure? No. It's a modernisation and a pivot towards how the best clubs are operating like this. Brighton are widely regarded as pioneers in the usage of data analytics for scouting, and astoundingly, as of November 2024, they only employed 7 senior scouts. Instead of studying and watching a player for a prolonged amount of time, data can be used as a filter. If a player passes through the first round of scrutiny, scouts can dedicate themselves to a lesser number of players with much higher intensity. This massively reduces the workload, offers more objectivity, and increases time that can be spent dedicated to each player. Just 2 weeks before the signing of Diego Leon first gathered media coverage, Scouting Football published an article looking at the future of athletic data in football analytics. It highlighted Diego Leon as a talent primed for the physical nature of the Premier League due to those statistics. So it goes to show that data does have its value. It can't be the only thing, but its value has increased, and United are finally making moves for it. And at a time of mass redundancies, United have actually made a significant commitment to the data department. Dan Nicol has been brought in as a data science consultant and Michael Sansoni as head of data department. Now, Sansoni was part of the Mercedes Formula One team. That's where he's coming from. And if you look at Formula One and you look at the meticulous nature of it, the micro data and everything they go into, data is absolutely crucial to have a successful F1 team. And I think data now is crucial when it comes to having a successful transfer window. But of course, data isn't everything. And I'm not saying that United should get rid of the scouts and rid of the eye test as well. And this is where it's more the strategy is changing with it. You've seen it with Chris Favell. You've seen it with Jason Wilcox. The likes of, I don't know, Sekou Kone or Diego Leon or Enzo Canabiak, who has been signed by the club, is going to go on loan to Lausanne and use the multi-club model. We're signing younger players. We're actively looking for different types of players in the market. What we need to do now, and I keep going on about this, we need to be the club that finds the next Baleba, that finds the next Wharton, not the club that signs those players after they've established themselves as £75 million proven Premier League players. That's what this data system needs to provide, and that's what needs to happen for United's transfer strategy to properly be overhauled and to actually reap the rewards of it in the summer markets and January, of course. But I would say the whole transfer strategy of our club is completely changing, and it's been needed for a long time. We've now got a director of recruitment in Chris Favell. We've got a new head of data to follow. So Dominic Jordan came in and he set up the data department. He moved on. Now Michael Sansoni's coming in and he's going to be driving the modernisation of United's data even more so. Would it be better if he had experience in football? Maybe. But Tony Bloom and his successful data department, I think, was sort of spawned from gambling originally. So it's not necessarily the experience in football. It's understanding how to use data properly. That's where we've fallen so far short. I'm hoping that over the years to come, that this new strategy and approach and shift, which is United modernising, bears fruit. I want to find the next Baleba. I want to find the next Wharton. And I hope this new approach allows them to do that. So yeah, that's the majority of the changes explained. You can let me know what you think in the comments and whether you have any sort of confidence that it will make the changes and bring the signings that we need.